Testing, testing. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
3, 2, 1.
Hi everybody, welcome. My name is Jessica Medina, Associate Director of Outreach here in the Financial Aid Office. Welcome to our live session geared towards answering some of your questions before your first semester starts here at USC, and I have a variety of my colleagues from different units on campus, and we'll go ahead and introduce ourselves.
Hi, I'm Anthony Morkarians. I work in financial aid here. I've been here about 4 years. Currently I do the need analysis for EFC. My title is Assistant Director.
And I'm Casey Woods. I'm also Assistant Director here in Financial Aid, and I work in our loan unit, and I've been here also for about 4 years.
Hi, I'm Suzanne Armstrong. I work in need analysis, and I've been with the university for 29 years.
Hi, my name is Richard Amador. I am also an Assistant Director. I've been here for 3 years, and I'm with our Aid Coordination Unit.
I'm Janelle Picasso. I'm a counselor for Student Financial Services, and today I'm going to be representing Student Financial Services and the Cashier's Office, and I'll be coming up in a year in January.
Great. So we have a variety of different topics that we're going to go through today that we thought would be helpful at this point in your process. But there is a chat going on, so if you do have any questions as you're going through the process, feel free to write those in the chat, and we'll get to those after we've kind of talked about the variety of different topics today. So we wanted to start out with the application process. In the case that you haven't completed the application process, or maybe you're wondering why you haven't received your financial aid summary yet, and Richard's actually going to come in and talk to us a little bit about our application process.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of the application process, it's going to first start off with 2 online forms. The first one's going to be the FAFSA. That can be done on fafsa.ed.gov. Our school code for that one is 001328. Other than the FAFSA, we'll also need a CSS profile, which is going to be done on collegeboard.org. But those are the 2 forms that we'll need to go ahead and get the process started to create your financial aid summary. Another thing to go ahead and keep in mind is the USC FAST page, which stands for USC Financial Aid Summary and Tasks. So this page will go ahead and show you your financial aid summary. It'll also show you where all of your financial aid information is posted, any other additional documents that we request. So one thing that you'll want to keep in mind after submitting your FAFSA and your CSS profile is to keep updated on your emails and your USC FAST if we ever ask for any additional information to verify things.
Great, thank you. And once you receive your financial aid summary, some of you may have been wondering how we calculated your expected family contribution, or how we arrived at the amount that we actually awarded in financial aid, and how we met that financial need. And Susie is actually a great person to talk about that, because that's the unit that she works in. So she's going to talk a little bit about how we calculate a family contribution, and then our methodology a little bit as well.
All right, so the first thing we have to do is we have to determine what your cost of attendance is. And the cost of attendance is your tuition, your fees, your books, your supplies, your room and board. It's basically what it costs to attend USC as a whole. And what we do is the information that we get from the FAFSA, from the profile, from your taxes, maybe additional information we may ask from you, is we take that information, we take the cost of attendance, we determine what your family can contribute, and the remainder is your financial need.
Okay, great. And as I mentioned, if you do have any questions, feel free to write those in the chat. I'm currently looking at it, so I'll be able to see those questions as they come in. And next, you're probably wondering, at this point in the process, a majority of you are probably wondering when your financial aid will disperse. How do you read your Bursar account? Questions like that. So I'm going to ask Janelle to kind of talk about our EPay system, how to review your bill, how to get access to that, how to give guest access. And then Janelle, if you wouldn't mind throwing it back to Anthony, and he can kind of go over how financial aid actually disperses to that account.
Okay. So your USC EPay account, there's many functions that can happen there. You could access it through My USC. And on EPay, you can make online payments through a credit card or through a deduction from a checking or savings account. You could review the balance on your student account. You could view any of your billing statements that have been there since the time that you have started at the university. This is where also you could sign up for e-refund, where you would like a bank account to be connected to receive refunds. And this is where you could enroll in the payment plan as well as create guest users, which is important in ensuring that all people who need the access to the bill are given that access. And the first day that Title IV aid will be dispersed onto the account is tomorrow, August 11th. So tomorrow will be a great day to log into your USC EPay account to make sure what has been dispersed and to see an updated balance on your student account. And I'll be passing it over to Anthony.
Thanks. Looking at your financial aid on the FAST page, the financial aid summary and task, there's going to be a list of items, some of which will be gift aid, like the USC grant and other scholarships that we offer. Most of those items, the grants, the university grant, and the scholarships should have dispersed as long as you're enrolled, registered in classes, and ready to start next week. The other items, the federal loans, like the Stafford loan, state Cal grants, they might be pending. Title IV aid, which is the aid you get from FAFSA, we can't disperse until 10 days prior to the start of class, which would be tomorrow the 11th, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the grants and scholarships should have already posted to the EPay account, which you can see through the Bursar billing, and EPay will show that they've been credited. Anything that's a remaining balance should be covered by the loans and scholarship, the loans and the other federal aid. If there's any outstanding balance, you can always pursue other avenues like the Parent Plus loan, which is also federal, any private loan or payment plan, which I think is financial services.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and we'll talk a little bit about that in a bit.
And then there's other items in your financial aid summary you'll see that are also Title IV, like WorkStudy.
Mm-hmm. So good thing that we started talking about WorkStudy, one thing that you may be wondering is why hasn't your WorkStudy actually dispersed to your EPay account? And that's a common question that a lot of students have at this point in the process. And Richard, would you like to answer why WorkStudy doesn't credit to the EPay account?
Yeah, sure. So WorkStudy is actually going to be paid from your WorkStudy job on campus. So WorkStudy is actually something that's good to have. A lot of places on campus usually go ahead and offer work-study jobs. And actually on August 18th, there's going to be a work-study fair in the VKC courtyard from 1 p.m. to 3:30 p.m. where you can go ahead and see the various opportunities that exist for you to go ahead and apply for those work-study jobs. But the main reason why it doesn't disperse into the EPay account is because it's something that you earn as funding from like a paycheck that department's going to pay to you. So it's going to go directly to you, not to the EPay account.
Great. So don't be shocked if you don't see that on your EPay account. That's the way it's supposed to work. Now I want to talk a little bit about federal loans that are offered. So there's two federal loans that are offered, and there is the Federal Direct Unsubsidized and Subsidized loan that is offered to the student, and then there's also the Federal Direct Graduate Plus loan. So I'm going to hand it over to Anthony, and he'll discuss the unsubsidized and subsidized direct loan, and then Casey will come in and talk a little bit about the Parent Plus loan and what the options are with that, what the requirements are, and how to apply for those loans.
All right, so there is, like she said, the subsidized and unsubsidized portion for undergraduates. The unsubsidized portion is going to be a set amount. It's always the same. It's $2,000 every academic year. Correct me if I'm wrong. So you'll get $1,000 each semester of unsubsidized Stafford loan. It's also called the Federal Direct Unsubsidized loan, or Stafford loan. Both the loans, the unsubsidized and the subsidized, will have fixed interest rates. The subsidized portion, which varies depending on your grade level, freshman, junior, and so on, will be increasing as you continue, but those loans are interest-free while you are enrolled in school. The interest is, again, a fixed rate, but will not begin to accumulate any interest until 6 months after you're done with school or graduate. Currently, the interest rate is 4.45%. It's fixed for life. There is an origination fee that comes out of the loan, so there's going to be a small amount taken out when you get the disbursement. So if you see, a little bit less than 1,000 or 2,500, that's normal. Don't be worried. Currently, it's at 1.069%. That's an origination fee. And again, being that it is a Title IV federal form of financial aid, it will disperse 10 days prior to the start of classes, which I think is again the 11th tomorrow.
Great.
Casey?
Sure. So for the PLUS loan, basically the PLUS loan, so like Susie was going over and talking about how we determine the need for the family, there's the EFC, the expected family contribution, which her unit, the need analysis unit, determines by using your taxes, things like that. And from that portion, that's the amount your family is expected to come up with to contribute to college. And some people, though, don't have the liquid cash or the means to pay that right away, out of pocket at the beginning of the semester. So the Parent Plus loan is a way to pay that bill at the beginning of the semester, and then you can pay it off over time with the income and things like that. So the Parent Plus loan is also a federal loan, so it's through the government, and it also has a fixed interest rate, but the difference is through your parent's name. So the parents have to request it. They go to studentloans.gov and apply for it there. And when they apply for it, they'll go through a credit check. And if the credit is approved, then they can get up to the full expected family contribution. Whatever it shows on FAFSA is your contribution. It's not a FICO score. It's not looking at the credit score. It's looking to see if there's any delinquent bills, bankruptcies, things like that on your on your parents' files. If they are denied for some reason, they can get an endorser, or they can also appeal it. But then when they do request it, if they are approved, they get an endorser. They request it just for the whole year. So you just request it for the fall and the spring. It's just a one-time thing at the beginning of the year. And we can certify it for both semesters, and then it will disperse 10 days before class starts tomorrow if it's already been done. Or once we process it, it'll be dispersed as soon as possible for this fall. And then for the spring, it'll be 10 days before the spring starts, the second half. It'll pay the bill. And then for any reason, if this comes in later because you didn't know about it until now, and the bill's coming up on the 18th, and the bill it does come through after that, we can take off any late fees for if you're waiting on the Plus loan. And then the repayment is similar to the unsubsidized and subsidized loans for the parent. They can defer the interest until after college. They can defer the repayment until after you graduate, but it's an unsubsidized loan, so the interest does start accruing from the date it disperses. There's no subsidized option for the Plus loan.
Great, thank you, both of you. So just to recap, because I know that was a lot of information, for the federal direct loan, there's the subsidized, which is not interest accruing while you're enrolled in school. There's the unsubsidized portion, which is accruing interest from the point of disbursement, and that loan has a fixed interest rate of 4.45%. And then there is the Parent Plus loan that is an unsubsidized loan that's fixed at 7% for loans that are disbursed this year. I'm actually going to cut into the notes that we kind of discussed before and answer a few questions. So we have about 3 questions regarding WorkStudy from Natasha, Elliot, and Corey. So Richard, if you want to help us out with these, so I'll sum up. 1, are we guaranteed WorkStudy? So I'm assuming, are they guaranteed to find a job or employment? How does financial aid, or how does WorkStudy work for study abroad and summer courses? And then, is there a minimum of hours required that you work in WorkStudy for each week? Just because it's, as we all know, because we were all students before, it's a little bit hard to balance going to school, working, making sure that you're keeping up with your studies and going to class. So if you can kind of touch a little bit on that.
Yeah, sure. So in terms of WorkStudy, I think the first question was if it's guaranteed or not. So it's actually going to be on the responsibility of the student to go ahead and find those work-study jobs on campus. But we actually have a department on campus that you can go ahead and go to. It's the Career Center that will help you out in terms of finding a work-study job. And again, keep in mind, you can always go to that work-study fair that's going to be next Friday to go ahead and see employers from various departments and go ahead and apply to them. In terms of work-study overseas, if you do go ahead and study abroad, your work-study will go ahead and actually be removed from your financial aid account. And the main reason is because you're working or you're going to school overseas, we're going to assume you're not going to be working when you're going overseas. So students won't actually have access to those funds when they study abroad. The third question was
if there was like a minimum amount of hours just to work each week, like can they work 2 hours, can they work 15 hours, 10 hours, just because there's that worry with a lot of incoming students as well. There's that worry of having to balance work and classes and studying and also enjoying being on the USC campus as well.
Yeah, so that's actually always going to be dependent on wherever you go ahead and work. Whatever your employer says, however many hours you can go ahead and work, that's all going to be dictated between you and them. But they're usually very flexible about your schedule because they know that you're a student. So you can go ahead and work with them. They can go ahead and let you know how many hours you can work. You can let them know how many hours you're available to work for. And usually they go ahead and find a way to go ahead and make things work. I think a max usually to gauge is like 20 hours, but a minimum, it's really up to you.
Yeah, definitely. And I would say if you're wondering how to prep for that work-study fair that's coming up, I would really look at your class schedule right now and try to find the pockets of when you're not in classes and when you would be available to work, because I can almost guarantee when you're at the work-study fair, the first question that a potential employer is going to ask is, well, what hours are you available to work? And if you kind of have that schedule already set before the work-study fair, you can kind of move through the process a bit quicker than some other students that maybe have not thought about that yet. And I think we're going to move along, and I was going to actually ask Janelle if you can kind of jump in on this portion. A lot of students maybe are obtaining a refund. Maybe they've borrowed the full amount of the PLUS loan, or through other finances, or just with financial aid, they're actually receiving a refund to maybe go towards books, supplies, room, board, just educational related expenses. And since we kind of mentioned that all of those funds get dispersed to the EPay account, some students typically wonder, how do those funds get funneled back into their account so that way they can access those funds. And then if you can also go over our billing settlement deadline for both semesters.
So as Jessica mentioned, if there's excess funds from financial aid on the student account, there will be a credit balance on the student account. And at that time, you could request a refund by enrolling in e-refund. And in e-refund, it can be accessed through USC EPay. It's the easiest and fastest way to receive a refund. It is a way that you can designate a checking or a savings account to which you'd like those refunds to go to. You can enroll in e-refund right now. You don't have to wait for a credit balance to be on the account. It's actually recommended that you sign up right now so that when a credit balance does come on, we can process it right away. If you just sign up for e-refund, once the credit balance is on the account, it takes about 1 to 2 business days for that to get processed. So you could definitely sign up right now. It's the easiest way, e-refund. And the settlement deadline for the fall term for your fall tuition and fees is August 18th by 5 p.m. And that means your portion of the bill. So if you're still waiting for some financial aid to kick in, we don't expect you to pay that portion. We expect you just to pay the portion that you would be expected to pay. So sometimes calculating is needed just to arrive to the portion that you need to pay. And I believe if you receive any late fees or finance charges because of financial aid, they'll be able to help you in resolving those fees.
Definitely. So if you do incur any late fees as a result, as Janelle said, of your financial aid not dispersing in time, or you have a bill balance because of financial aid not dispersing, you can either send us an email. I would actually recommend that you send us an email. I wouldn't come the first day of classes and wait in our lobby to try to get that fee removed, because I can guarantee we'll have a heavy contact load that day. I would just recommend that you send us an email and let us know, and I'll give our contact information at the end of our session today as well. And next I was going to bring in Casey to kind of talk about our Pride and Joy this summer, which is a new planning tab that we have available on our FAST account, which is a tool that's really meant for you to assist you through this process of resolving your balance. And then Casey, if you want to throw it over to Janelle after to talk about the 5-month payment plan, which, 'cause there's some information on there as well.
Yeah, sure. So, like Jessica said, we're really excited about the planning worksheet that's available on FAST. And like Janelle was even saying, if you're waiting on financial aid, a lot of times you have to do some calculations because you're like, okay, I have to pay my bill, but there's some financial aid I'm waiting for. How much do I need to pay out of pocket? And this is what that tool's for. It's one of the uses for this tool. So where you find it is on your financial aid summary and tasks in your FAST account. You'll see a planning worksheet tab up top. And basically what it does is it pulls information straight from your bill. So it shows the credits and the debits from your bill, and then what your remaining balance is currently for your bill for the most recent billing semester. So then it's a running total on the bottom. So you just see it the whole time, and then it shows you the different types of aids or resources available to you for the semester. So financial aid or the payment plan, which we'll go over for this semester, and you can choose which ones you want. So if you know you want to take out the unsubsidized loan and the subsidized loan, and if you know your parents want to take out the Parent Plus loan, if you have a Perkins loan, if you want to make just a straight payment of cash up front, if you know, hey, my family wants to pay $2,000 now, do the rest in payment plan, you're kind of just putting money in, and as you're selecting which ones you want to do, the balance that's running will start coming down, and you hopefully get it to zero. Or if you want a refund to help pay for books, things like that, you'll see negative $1,000, $2,000. You basically have a goal in mind. You start putting these things in, and hopefully you get to your goal in the end. So that way it does all the calculations for you. It makes it a lot simpler for you. And then once you've picked all the different kind of aid that you want to take out, which includes also the different grants and all the other financial that you have automatically, you select next. Once you've gotten to that goal that you want, and then the next page shows you all the different steps you need to take for the different types of aid you've received. So if it's a grant, it will say you don't need to take any more steps for this, it should already be dispersed. But if it's a loan, it will say for the unsubsidized and subsidized loan, will say you need to go do the Stafford loan request form, and you need to do your master promissory note, and then the entrance loan counseling. So I'll walk you through each step for the different types of aid that you want. So it's really exciting for us because it was confusing to have everyone try to do these calculations themselves, and they've asked for our help, and we have to sit there and kind of do the backwards, because the loans like they have those origination fees, which can be confusing, and you can put in the exact amount of the loan you want, and it'll say how much you need to request to get that. So it's a really great tool to use, and we would definitely recommend, even if you think you've got it down, just go take a look at it and see if what the next steps are, and go ahead and walk through it. And then for the payment plan, if you choose to want to use that, she can talk a little bit more about it.
So let's say that all your aid has been dispersed and there's a remaining balance on the account, but you don't, and the settlement deadline's coming up, but you don't have the funds at the moment to pay the balance in full. This is where the payment plan comes in. It is a way for you to cover the tuition and fees over the course of the semester. It is a line of credit at 0% interest, but there is a $50 application fee each time you enroll. And the line of credit is repaid in 5 monthly installments. So for the fall term, the payment plan is from August to December. And you could designate how much you'd like to put on the payment plan. If you want to put your entire remaining balance on the payment plan, you could do so, and you could just indicate that amount when asked. And the amount that you indicate is divided into 5, which results in the cost of each of your installments. And your first installment, along with a $50 application fee, is due at the time that you enroll into the plan. And your remaining 4 payments are due on the 3rd of each month. And all payments made under the payment plan are done from a checking or a savings account.
Great. I'm actually going to throw it back to you because we got a question in our chat from Corey. So he's asked, I've already enrolled in eRefund, so tomorrow when funds are dispersed, will the excess funds go right into my linked bank account?
No. The first day that refunds will be going out for the fall is August 16th. So it'll be processed then, and you'll receive it in your bank account between 2 to 3 business days.
So that's next Wednesday, right? Okay. And I'm going to answer a few of these questions. Today, we actually have your question on our list of items to talk about, so we'll get to that in just a few minutes, and that's regarding the Perkins Loan. So we'll talk about that in just a minute. But we have a question from Christian about tuition. The tuition and fees are due on the 18th of August. So if I pay the remaining charges out of pocket, but it's still processing after the due date, will I be charged a late fee? So the rule of thumb is that you will be charged a late fee if there's any type of a balance on your account after 5 p.m. on August 18th. So I'm not quite sure what you were referring to in regards to processing after the due date. If you can elaborate a little bit more on the chat, we'll be more than welcome to discuss it a bit further. But again, rule of thumb is if you have any balance on your account after 5 p.m. on August 18th, you will incur a late fee. And for the first 3 Fridays, it's a $100 charge. every single Friday at 5 p.m. And then after that, it results to a 1% finance charge of whatever balance is left on the account. And I guess we can actually talk about the Perkins Loan now, Richard, if you don't mind. So can you talk a little bit about the Perkins Loan, what the application process is for the Perkins Loan? And the question that we got from Tanae is, can we take out a Perkins Loan in the middle of the semester?
Yeah. So with the Perkins Loan, if you are awarded it, it'll go ahead and show on your financial aid summary if you do have it. You'll want to make sure to go ahead and sign your master promissory note for that as soon as possible. The last day to go ahead and sign that master promissory note is actually going to be September 30th of this year. So make sure to go ahead and turn that in as soon as possible. I'll go ahead and hand it to Janelle in a second to go and talk more about that whole process. But to go ahead and answer your question, you can go ahead and request the Perkins Loan at a later date, but make sure that that master promissory note is signed. That's the key thing, so that way you can go ahead and still get the disbursement of it. And Janelle, if you want to go and take over for the promissory note.
Yeah. So if were awarded the Perkins Loan, you should have received an email to your USC email with a link to sign the promissory note. I know that some students have had some trouble completing the promissory note. They've completed the entrance counseling, but they haven't been able to sign the promissory note. If that is the case, you would have to bring the promissory note to us in person, to our office located in the Jefferson Boulevard structure. So, and you could give it to us before the August 18th deadline. It's okay if you're going to be giving the promissory note to us next week. We would still be able to disperse the funds by the deadline.
Okay, great. And Casey, I have one question for you from Tamara. She's asking, if I apply for the Plus Loan tomorrow, how long does it typically take for USC to receive payment?
So it depends. So the Plus Loan, if you sign it or do it tomorrow, it usually takes us a day or two to get the response from, or to get the information from the COD, the government. And then after that, we have to certify it, then it goes back to them. And then it comes back to us again to disperse. So this goes back and forth a little bit with the government to get it dispersed. So most likely though, it's usually like a week or two for actually to come into the account and pay your bill. So if that is after, like I said, August 18th, we can take off any late fees and put a late fee waiver on your account ahead of time. And it could be sooner. I mean, it could take sometimes 3 or 4 day turnaround, but during this time of the year, it's pretty busy since it is registration week next week, and a lot of people are trying to pay their bill. And so a lot of people are doing the Plus Loan right now, so we just get a little bit backed up. So it could take 1 or 2 weeks to do it. So just make sure you could kind of call ahead, get the late fee waiver on your account. But there's nothing to worry about in that sense. You can still do it now. It's going to be completely fine. It can still pay your bill.
Right. And again, if that's the only thing that's going to disperse in order to pay off the balance, then just let us know. We can put a late fee waiver on your account. If it's not going to cover the full balance, then as Janelle mentioned, you want to make sure that you make payment arrangements for what the difference is. So your bill balance minus your Parent Plus Loan disbursement, that difference should still be resolved by August 18th, which is next Friday. And I'm going to ask you to answer this one, Anthony. So where can I get a copy, and this is from Hernan, where can I get a copy of my college registration form with the number of units that I will be taking this fall? So it looks as though he has an outside scholarship that they want to confirm enrollment for him, so that way they can send over the funds.
No worries. So best place to go for that would be the registrar's office, academic records and registrar. You can actually get a transcript which will show the number of units you're enrolled in for verification. They can actually even give you a verification of enrollment if you need to provide that for the outside agency giving you the scholarship. So that's the best place to go.
And I do see a few other questions coming in. We'll get to those in just a minute. I wanted to hand it over to Susie and kind of ask you a question. So, does the university offer any assistance to help students with financial wellness?
Well, once you leave the university, we don't necessarily have a counseling staff for you, but as soon as you graduate, I'm sure it can seem, well, we've all been in this position, it can be very overwhelming to think about repayment and such. But there is a resource. It's called SALT. The website is saltmoney.org/USC. And this is actually a budgeting tool that you can use. It's a great resource. There's counselors that are available to you to help you with planning and budgeting and paying back your student loans based on your very specific situation. And you might actually find also very helpful is they have a community forum too.
Great.
Let me give you the website one more time. It's saltmoney.org/USC.
And one of the best things about it is that it is free to the student. So there is no registration fee when you actually sign up. The account is completely free to you. And you can actually use it while you're enrolled here as well to just look at those budgeting tips as well, and look at loan repayment, things like that. So it's something that's really for your benefit that, again, is at no cost to you. And we have one more. I saw that we had one more question. Tanae, I actually think that's more of a personal question. I would actually recommend that you contact our counselors, and I'll give that contact information in just a bit as well. But it may be that they need to look up your account directly, and unfortunately, there isn't a general answer that I would be able to give for that question. And then Armando, you're asking that you've been awarded WorkStudy, so I'm assuming that you see that on your award summary. And will the funds be dispersed up front, or must you find a job first? And he just wants to really confirm that he does have to find a WorkStudy job. So Richard, if you want to answer that one for me.
Yeah, it's no problem. Yeah, so in terms of the WorkStudy, it's going to be funds that you earn from a WorkStudy job here on campus. So it won't be dispersed to you up front. Instead, it's going to be paid to you through every paycheck that you work with that department. So that's pretty much how you go ahead and earn those WorkStudy funds, working for that department and then earning it through a paycheck.
And we've kind of gone through all of the topics that we thought would be helpful to you at this point. If you do have any other questions, feel free to rush and write those into the chat box. But I really wanted to kind of give my colleagues an opportunity. Just as you kind of heard at the beginning, there's a lot of years of experience that are sitting at this table, and we've walked quite a few students and families through this process. And I just really wanted to give you guys the opportunity, if there's anything that maybe we didn't cover, or any tips that you may have for our audience. If, as I mentioned before, we were all students once before as well. And if you guys just have any other tips for them that you would like to give them.
Don't stress out.
I want to say, well, I think most of the years are over here. Susie has most of the years at the table, but in terms of tips, though, the one thing, since I work in the loan unit, I just want to say, as soon as possible, it's not too late to already start thinking about your loans if you're going to take them out, repaying them. They are things you have to pay back. I know it's really easy. This college is exciting. You don't want to worry about that. That's the future. That's a problem for future you. But it's less of a problem for future you if you start thinking about it now. So like using SALT, thinking about budgeting now. Like, I know it's exciting also to go out and try to do all the college experiences and do all that. But if you budget, you can still have those experiences, but you may need to prioritize which ones are more important for you. And then try to take out the least amount of loans as possible. So try to budget. You can take out loans at the end of the semester. If you don't need all the loans, you can return part of the loans by just sending us a notification. It has to be 120 days from when you took the loan out, so it's about 4 months, which is about how long a semester is. So you would just say, hey, I want to return the loans, and we can send it back. No interest or fees will be taken out of that. We'll return those as well. You can also request more loans if you do need it. So if you want to, say you start budgeting at the beginning and you budget, hey, I only need $1,000, and you try to go off of that, but you end up needing a little bit more, another $1,000 or $500, you can request that also later in the semester, which I probably recommend that way, because you're just trying to do the least amount as possible, and if you need more, go ahead. Because I think, at least for me, if I have the money in my account, I spend it. So if you put $4,000 in my account, the $4,000 will be gone by the end of the semester. But if I try to say, hey, okay, I'll do it off $2,000 and try to go there, and I see it, going down, it might be a little bit more smarter. So it's never too late to think about, because it's gonna, the least unsubsidized will be incurring interest the whole time you're in school. So it's the least amount you can do, the better.
Yep, it's a good tip. Anybody else? Because we did get a few other questions in our chat.
I would just say that just be on top of everything. Don't wait till the last minute. We have so many resources available to you, especially our planning tab, which is so fabulous and fast. Just be on top of it, because nothing, like Anthony said, don't stress. But things can stress you out if you wait till the last second. You have an incredible staff of people available to you. by email, in person, on the phone. We are here for you. We are here to assist you in any way. So don't shy away from getting help from us.
Anybody else before we get on the questions?
Yeah, so one thing that we get asked a lot is about scholarships. So one thing that you can go ahead and do is on our financial aid website, if you look through the search engine and just check out or type in scholarships, it'll go ahead and give a list of scholarship opportunities throughout the campus. So Alumni Association, Town and Gown, cultural organizations on campus. I suggest going ahead and looking at those right now because a lot of those scholarship opportunities do have deadlines. So you want to go ahead and submit those applications as soon as possible, as soon as they open up. And if there are none that you can go ahead and find that you can apply to here on campus, there are also scholarship search engines on that same page on our website that you can go ahead and utilize too. So go ahead and search for that money. Free money is always going to be good money, so go ahead and apply to those if you can.
Definitely. And we have a few questions. So Casey, if you want to answer this one.
Sure.
And this is from Tanae, so can a student change their unsubsidized loan later to a Perkins loan? So I'm assuming they're talking about their unsubsidized direct loan.
Yeah, so the direct unsubsidized loan, that's going to stay, it's a direct unsubsidized loan as long as you have it. You can't change it into a subsidized loan later like a Perkins loan. That's just going to stay unsubsidized. Later on, you can consolidate all your student loans, but if they still consolidate with that's after you graduate. You consolidate them, and then they're all unsubsidized at that point because the interest is accruing, and they use an average interest rate. But they stay unsubsidized loans, direct loans, and direct loans, and then the Perkins loan are separate, so you can't convert any of the loans into different ones.
Okay, great. And Janelle, I have a question for you. So this is from Christian, and his question is, when I pay the remaining balance with my debit card, will my EPay account immediately be updated, or will they have to wait a little bit in order to see that on their EPay account?
Yes, so when you make a payment with your debit card or with a check, it is immediate. That will update your student account balance. And an important link in the USC EPay, it's under the Your Account box. It's the click here to view recent activity. Bills are only generated on a monthly basis, so we always get questions regarding, oh, I have a bill, but the amount on the bill doesn't correlate with what I see on USC EPay. It's usually because some activity has changed on your student account. So definitely click that link where it says click here to view recent activity to see the changes that have happened to your account.
Great. And then Susie, do you want to answer this question from Benjamin? Do all student jobs on campus qualify for WorkStudy? So a good question would be, what if the student doesn't have WorkStudy? Are they still able to find a job on campus?
Yes, there are non-work-study jobs on campus, and like Richie said in his spiel, the Career Center is a great resource. And sometimes you can look at what interests you. There's a lot of students out there who are excellent at IT. Speak with the academic department maybe that you're in and see. But the Career Center is definitely a very good resource.
Definitely. And then, Anthony, if you want to answer this one for me from Vera. She has an update in her family circumstances. So she's asking, how does she update the financial aid office on updating what their financial capability is?
So yeah, for that basically, good question by the way. For that basically what you want to do is if you go into your Fast Page Online login, you can actually submit a special circumstances appeal. It's going to be in the document or a library, I think it's still in there if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be where you can submit a letter to explain the specific circumstances that have changed for yourself or your parents, and let us know what it is, and it's going to be an appeal concerning expected family contributions. So you want to look for that again in the Fast Page in the document library, and you can go ahead and submit a letter to explain, and we'll go ahead and take a look and see what we can do to help you out with that. If we do need any additional information, you'll see it as a required document on your Fast Page, and you can click on the link and it'll either be a form to fill out online or print out and fill out, or something you can upload.
Great.
And to add something to that also, is feel free when you do appeal, feel free to upload any documentation that you feel will assist us in that, because we may be able to process your appeal based on the information that you uploaded already. So I would, speak with your parents and see what other information you can provide.
Great. And I will actually take Tanae's question. So Tanae, you are asking, do students get any scholarships or grants for books? And Susie kind of mentioned earlier the cost of attendance minus the family contribution equals the financial need. And within that cost of attendance component, there is an allotment for books and supplies. Now, if you're asking if you're actually going to get a refund back to go towards those expenses, that really depends on what your financial expected family contribution came out to be, how much financial aid you're receiving. Are you financing the full amount in a federal direct parent plus loan? There's a variety of different items that kind of go into answering that question. But the tab that Casey went over earlier, that fast planning tab, that's a great resource to use to answer that question. So if you actually go on there, it will show if you will be getting a refund, and you'll know that refund can go towards books, supplies, and other educational related expenses. So I would actually recommend that you visit that sometime today and see if you will be potentially getting a refund back to go towards those expenses. And Janelle, if you can answer Natasha's question. So is there a USC bank account that we can put for our refund? So is there a bank that the refund can be directed to? Or would we just have to keep it in our regular checking account? I feel like it is more likely to get spent in my regular checking account. So they were actually listening to you, Casey.
Yes, there is no USC bank account per se that the refund can be directly deposited to. You would have to open a separate bank account either at the USC Credit Union or at another institution that will be held just for your refunds to stay there so you don't spend it. So you would have to initiate that on your own to have a separate bank account to which you would like those refunds to be sent to.
Okay, great. And we do have a few other questions, so feel free to keep writing those in and we will stay as long as we have questions. So from Gabriel, it looks like you opted out of student health insurance, and how long will it take for the $670 to be taken off? That's really with our student health insurance office, so I would direct that question to them. You may want to contact them. I don't even have an idea of what the time frame is to remove that fee. We did hear that they did get an influx of requests, probably as Casey mentioned, because it's the week before classes start. So I wouldn't be surprised if it isn't taken off immediately. It'll probably, I'm assuming maybe 1 to 2 weeks, but I would really contact them directly to get a defined processing time. And you can find their contact information on just the general USC financial aid or USC webpage. And then, Richard, do you want to answer Christian's question? How do I link scholarships to my EPay account? I have received multiple ones from outside sources. So I'm assuming that maybe the agency made the checks out directly to Christian and maybe he has those in his bank account, and how do those get referred over? And then I'm pretty sure we also have other students in the audience as well, where maybe they need to know how to direct the scholarship checks to USC as well.
Okay, yeah, so if you got an outside agency scholarship, the best thing to go ahead and do is notify our office. So if you go onto the USC FAST page and check out the document library, there's going to be a section on there called an outside agency scholarship notification. Go ahead and upload the letter there letting us know that you got an outside agency scholarship, and what we'll do is we'll go ahead and make sure that that's coordinated into your financial aid summary. So when the checks are sent to the financial aid office, we can go ahead and make sure they disperse accordingly into your university account to pay for any of the charges that are on your bill.
Great.
And if that doesn't work, they can always write a check right to me. I'll be happy to check.
And then for students where the funds went directly to you, let's say they don't even need to be funneled through the financial aid or through USC directly, those can be made as a payment on the EPay account. So it's kind of a two-step process. One, you want to make sure that you update that letter that Richard just went over, and then two, you can make the payment towards your EPay account to help resolve that balance as well. And
if they have a check, you can actually drop it off during registration week into the Lions Center if you have a physical check that you need to drop off to us.
Definitely. And Casey, if you can answer Corey's question, is it too late for me to cancel my PLUS loan request and apply for a Perkins loan instead? So if you want to talk a little bit about maybe how a Perkins loan is awarded, and
Sure.
that it's a bit different than applying for a PLUS loan.
Yeah, sure. So, well, first, it's not too late to cancel the PLUS loan if you want to, but the Perkins loan, if it has to be in your package already for you to receive it. So it's something that's awarded based upon need. It's a need-based loan. So if it's in your financial aid package and you did not do the master promissory note yet and you're deciding you want to take that out, the amount that's already in your package instead of the PLUS loan, yeah, you're more than welcome to do that. You can basically, on the financial aid summary and task, the FAFSA account in the document library, there's an area there to cancel PLUS loans. You would just upload a letter there about that, and we can cancel the PLUS loan. Then you can do the master promissory note for the Perkins loan. If you don't have a Perkins loan in your account and you're hoping that you can apply and then get it added to your account, that would is not an option for the Perkins loan, because we would already determine the need to see if you have Perkins. If you do like a EFC appeal, if you have any special circumstances and you have more need than now, we may be able to add a Perkins loan depending on how we fund our appeals this year. But that would be a separate type of thing. You have to have a special circumstance that would increase your need to get that additional need-based loan. But otherwise, if it's not in there, you would just want to stick with the PLUS loan.
Yep. And Christian, this is a very popular question. I probably get this at least once every single time I present. Will my financial aid be reduced if I mention that I received multiple scholarships? Should I just deposit the checks into my bank account? And like I said, it's a really popular question. So our mentality when it comes to students coming in with outside agency scholarships is we do as much as we can to not reduce that university grant first. So typically we will maybe coordinate it against your loans, maybe coordinate it against your work study, even before we start reducing that university grant. Now in some cases there are students where we do have to reduce that university grant just based off of how the award summary has been composed. But if that's the case, you always still want to contact our office, because there may be a reason why maybe we can increase your cost of attendance to allow for those extra funds to still be in your award summary and not reduce that university grant. So again, I know it's a long answer, but rule of thumb is we do everything in our ability to not reduce that university grant the first time we see that you've received an outside agency scholarship. So as Richard mentioned, just make sure that you upload that letter on your FAST page and we'll do everything on our end. And then last question before we sign off today is Gary's asking, will this broadcast remain on YouTube so I can watch it later? Yes, it will, because we are being recorded right now. So it'll be available on our YouTube channel, and you can come back and watch it as many times as you'd like.
If you want to go to sleep, and
yeah, you can hear our voices as
Where
that's
the
happening.
current sound.
So yes, it is being recorded and you are able to watch it at a later date on the YouTube channel. And before we say goodbye, I just wanted to let you know that you, as Susie mentioned, there's a large staff that is here to assist you through this process. So contact us if you do have any questions. We will be available. Our hours of operation are Monday through Friday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Keep in mind that next week we will be located on the second floor of the Lions Center, which is the gym on campus. It's located near the pool on campus. And we will be operational 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. Monday through Friday as well over there. Other than that, you can give us a call. Our phone number is 213-740-4444, and you can always send us an email at our financial aid webpage is financialaid.usc.edu. And then would you like to discuss the hours of operation?
Mm-hmm. So student financial services and the cashier's office are open from 9 to 5. The cashier's office is located in Student Union, room 106, inside the credit union. Student financial services is located in the Jefferson Boulevard structure. And we're both going to be located next week at the Lions Center. If you would like to give us an email, our email is USC, S as in Sam, F as in Frank, S as in Sam, @usc.edu.
Great. And one last question from Vera. How long after I submit the appeal will I receive the new summary? Susie, do you want to go over our processing time with
Yeah.
appeals?
Appeals, as long as, just to let you know, sometimes we might go back and forth with information we need. Don't get frustrated with the process, because trust me, if we're asking for information, we are doing everything in our power to get you as much as we can. So once we have the information we need, the turnaround time is pretty fast. I would say 24 to 48 hours right now. Once we get a little closer to the start date of school, we might have an influx, but typically we try to keep it to about 2 days.
And with that, thank you so much for joining us today. We hope that we answered your questions. And again, both of our offices are available if you do have any additional questions. And thank you, and fight on.
Bye.